Hey everybody, just a quick note before we start this week's show. Hey, it's JR, one of the hosts here of Bands You've Never Heard of. Tonight's band is a cool band from Newfoundland, Canada called Yes Officer. It's actually one guy, Jeremy Harnum. In this episode, we will interview Jeremy Harnum, and before that, Gary and I will talk about all of the music that was available to us at the time we recorded the show. What was not available to us was Jeremy Harnum's new album, Yes Officer's new album, Ignore the Town Crier. That album is now out, and while we didn't get to talk about it and play all of the songs from it, we played one single from the album, and we talked with Jeremy about the creation of the album, but we didn't really get to talk about any more of the songs than that. And I want to just tell you really quick, he had the opportunity to work with an incredible producer named Greg Wells. He is a multi-Grammy-winning Canadian record producer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and mix engineer currently based in Los Angeles. He has credits with Adele, Katy Perry, Pink, Taylor Swift, Dua Lipa, Ariana Grande, 21 Pilots, Kid Cudi, Timbaland, John Legend, Elton John, and more. He's won awards for his work on the album for the movie The Greatest Showman. He's kind of a big deal, and for him to be working with an artist that is still small enough to be a band you've never heard of is pretty incredible. And Jeremy Harnum tells us the story of how he got the opportunity to work with Greg Wells as with help to produce this new album, Ignore the Town Crier. So the music you're hearing under me right now, that is the opening song, the first song on the album. To hear this song in its entirety, you've got a couple options. Once you get to the very end of this show, after the end credits, this song will be played in its entirety. Of course, you can also listen to it wherever music is streamed. It's on Spotify, YouTube Music, and just about anywhere else. And of course, it will be at the top of our playlist, the Bands You've Never Heard of complete playlist, available on Spotify. Link in the description, link at bindhopod.com. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because we didn't get to mention it in the body of the show, and I would feel bad if you didn't know about this new album. I have listened to it start to finish, and it is awesome. Jeremy Harnum describes himself, Yes Officer, as a one-man band based out of St. John's, that's in Newfoundland, making loud and abrasive music for those who like loud and abrasive music. And, well, that's how you'll know if you want to go listen to this song in its entirety. So thank you for listening to this little blurb at the beginning. And now, the full episode of Bands You've Never Heard of, featuring the band Yes Officer. You ready for a new band, Gary?
I am ready for a new band.
Let's roll the theme song and get started.
All right.
Bands you've heard of.
Hello and welcome to Bands You've Never Heard of. I'm JR.
And I'm Gary.
And we're back with a band that I definitely sought out. This is not an example of a band that called us. I went looking for a band for a specific reason, and I found it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, as you know, Gary, I'm into musicals, and that's what I do.
I do know. That's what you do.
That's what I do when I'm not doing this or playing music with you or playing disc golf or working, I'm probably working on a musical of some kind. And currently I'm working on Come From Away, which is the story of all of the planes that got diverted to Gander, Newfoundland on 9/11 when they closed the airspace, and how the town of Gander and the island of Newfoundland received 7,000 foreigners and welcomed them with open arms. It's a wonderful musical, and I've been doing like deep dive research into that experience, that happening. I've watched documentaries about it. I've read books about it, and every single thing I have found tells me that the people of Newfoundland are kind of awesome.
Kind of awesome. That sounds like a big cast for a play, though.
There's only 12 of us in the play, so and combined we play a total of 150 different characters. No joke. That's a real number.
It would have to be. It would have to be because it's you're trying to make up for 7,000 people. It's like and how big is the town? The town was less people than
less. It's about 9,000 people.
About 9,000
in 2001. It's more than that now. And about 7,000 plain people showed up. So they almost doubled the size of the town overnight. Within 2 hours, all the planes were there. Like it's nuts. But in doing all this research, I thought, I'll bet there's some music, some bands, some original musicians. I'll bet they live in Newfoundland too, right? I'll bet there's some of those.
So we're going back to Canada.
Yes. So it's tempting to think of this as a new country, but Newfoundland is indeed part of Canada and has been since the 50s. So it's not a new country, although the folks of Newfoundland probably don't. They would like it to be a separate company, but they did decide to become part of Canada a ways back. And
from what we've talked to the Canadians that we've done.
Yeah.
And from other Canadians that I've known or met or talked to over the time, the different regions very much act like they're different countries. It's almost a more of a European Union type of arrangement than the United States type of arrangement.
And there's often no love lost between the different provinces of Canada.
Oh, not at all.
Is it provinces?
Provinces, yes.
It's like Saskatchewan and Ontario and Newfoundland and Labrador. That's where we're headed tonight. So you get the geography first. So I went to find Newfoundland bands, and I asked AI, as I've done a few times, and it kind of let me down. It didn't really give me a band directly that made sense for this show. So
what you're saying is AI did what AI does best. It's
unlike us. It's not,
which is nothing.
9,000. Yeah, but it did hip me to a podcast called Off the Rock Radio. Newfoundland is an island. It's often referred to by the locals, by the islanders, as the Rock. And the podcast is called Off the Rock Radio. So it features all original music from Newfoundland musicians.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what I did was I went through a long list of musicians that have been featured on that show. And I went through about 25 musicians before I found what I was looking for. And that's not to say that there were 24 that sucked and the 25th was great. There were plenty of wonderful musicians. They just didn't feel right for this show, or they didn't qualify. Could have been any number of reasons. A lot of cover bands came up, things like that. But there are plenty of original musicians, and I found one that I did think applies, that fits nicely into what we do here on Bands You've Never Heard Of. And this will be different. The first thing I'm going to tell you about this band, in addition to the fact that they are from Newfoundland, is their bio, because the bio is what hooked me. It's a short little bio that tells you all you need to know. Well, not all you need to know. By the end of this show, you'll know all you need to know because we will be interviewing this band in about an hour.
In
So,
depth.
yeah, in-depth, deep dive interview with this band. And before I tell you the name of the band, I'm going to read you their bio because, again, this is what hooked me. Here's the bio. One-man band out of St. John's, making loud and abrasive music for those who like loud and abrasive music. That's the bio.
Pretty much covers it, doesn't it?
It does. It tells you about what you are about to hear. So, if you are not a fan of loud and abrasive music, this episode might not feature your favorite new song. However, if you are open-minded and willing to try new things, you might love this band. I'll just.
And we have no snowflakes.
You don't think
watching this
so?
podcast.
Yeah, probably not.
No. They would have already been tortured and left a long time ago. If that was the case.
All right, here we go. I'm starting the screen share, and you will be presented with the episode's band you've never heard of. Here he comes.
Yes, officer.
That's the name of the band. Yes, Officer. And the guy you're seeing on your screen is the one man in this band. Now, I do believe he has some folks that he plays with when he plays out, but he is the creative driving force behind the band, Yes, Officer. His name is Jeremy Harnum. Here is his website. He is an artist of many different flavors. In addition to being a musician, he's a photographer, Jeremy Harnum Photography, which is Jeremy Harnum's photography website, jeremyharnum.ca, which I could not find a website that is dedicated to Yes Officer. Just this, and it's got the same contact us page as his band camp page has. It has the same contact info. So I was able to email him. He responded. We chit-chatted. He said, give me some time to listen to some of your episodes first. And then he came back and said, yes, let's do it. So that's how we got connected with Mr. Harnum. And so this is his Bandcamp page. All right. We need to listen to some music.
Let me say one thing first, real quick.
Okay. I've been monologuing. It's your turn.
This has been this is like the third or fourth in a row. Of course, a lot of folks haven't heard them yet because we're doing these well in advance. This is like the third or fourth in a row now that the artists have actually done their research on us, and they're like, we're gonna listen to what you do. I'm not going to go on some rinky-dink little thing or something.
And
I
they
think that's
still
awesome.
said yes.
Oh, no, I think that's awesome because
I couldn't agree more. I was going to bring this point up as well. It is it's kind of nice now. I was thinking back to over a year ago when we started doing this. If Room for Zero, the first artist we interviewed for this show, had asked for that, I'd be like, there's not much for you to listen to there.
Have you heard of Small Things Considered?
Yeah. So no, it's nice to have a catalog of episodes to say yes. And not only can I say yes, I can go, and we're proud of all of our episodes, but I'm going to point you to a few that I think will resonate with you, the bands that I think you will like. And so that's what I do when these folks ask for that, ask for some time to do some research. And I point them to bynhopod.com. BYNHOPOD. That's the home for everything bands you've never heard of. And it's where you can find a page for each of the bands, links, and every kind of link we can think of for each band. And it's all there. There's merch, there's emails. You can contact us. You can reach out and let us know if you want us to feature a band. It's a pretty cool website. We found this really nice website designer who seems to know what he's doing. So
A little bit. But speaking of which, it got updated last night. So
oh, nice. Very nice. So did you put MJT on it already?
No, I did not. I passed out before that happened.
Okay,
That was
good.
the next one on the list. But
So there you go. As we're recording this, tomorrow is the day that MJT drops, which means as you're listening to this, a month ago, we were recording this. Sorry.
we were recording that, not this. This we're recording right now.
Right.
That we recorded a month ago.
Yes, we're talking about MJT, which we recorded a month ago as we're recording this, which again, as you're listening to this, was recorded a month ago.
A month ago. Get your programs here.
Right.
You can't tell what you're listening to without a program.
So I've done some deep dive research, as I always do, but we are going to get into some music first. Let's take a look at his catalog. We're on Spotify. We do not have the benefit of YouTube videos today. We don't have lyrics pages. We are going old school and simply listening to Yes Officer today. So I normally like to take this opportunity to tell people to watch this episode, and you still should, because there will be things on the screen, and when we get to the second half, you'll see Mr. Harnum, but you won't be seeing videos and stuff. It's just the audio today.
But there's no counts on these songs.
That's the first thing I was going to point out. If you didn't notice it, nothing. Not one of these songs has a number of plays next to it, which typically means fewer than 1,000 plays.
Correct.
Those
Yes.
songs. So I think a lot of that comes from the fact that he's from Newfoundland, and people don't. If everybody that lived in Newfoundland listened to it, he would still qualify for our show at fewer than 100,000 plays. But suffice to say, I'd be willing to bet not every Newfoundlander is into loud and abrasive music, so he's not even going to get 100% of those. And getting heard outside of Newfoundland, I think he's got a plan for maybe doing that and getting more people to listen, and I will go into why here in a little bit. But yeah, this is his top 10 songs, a mix from all of his albums, and none of them have more than 100,000 plays. So he qualifies. Here is his discography. We'll scroll down all the way to the beginning here. It starts in 2017 with his album Because There Is No Other Way. And we are going to start here with the first song on that album, because and I love doing this, because this is often the world's introduction to an artist. So if there are any Yes Officer fans, this was likely the first song you ever heard. And we're going to play it now. This is Yes Officer with You've Still Got Time. There you go, Gary. You've still got time by Yes Officer. I've got thoughts, but I'm going to hand it over to you first. What do you think?
It's a wonderful lullaby. I think I will
Something
play
to
that.
fall asleep to later
Something to
tonight?
fall asleep to. Yeah, absolutely. uh, to say it's intense would be a total,
Understatement?
yes, a misnomenclature. Now that was, I mean, that takes me back, man. That's like early hardcore. When did this come out? 217.
2017.
Wow, yeah, he's going back to not the original punk. Even punk wasn't that fast, but then you had the hardcore and the speed core. I mean, that had to have been at like 210 beats a minute, and that's what if it was played at a normal pace, it'd probably been about a 7-minute song.
Yeah. Yeah, you think he accidentally scrunched up the track on his audio player and
I don't
sped
think
it
so,
up?
but I am very curious because because it is an all DIY thing and it's
Mhm.
all him. Because usually those things involve keyboards, and some loops and stuff like that. I'm very curious as to which recording wise, what he starts out with.
That's my first
But,
question
but
that I already have written down. Like
yeah,
how does one do this, right? Take me through the process of creating a song with no other musicians in the room.
right. And there's obviously no click track or anything because it does speed up and slow down minutely
Ooh.
throughout. So I mean, he's going against the grain pretty much on every level, which is really totally cool.
As a drummer who needs a click track to avoid speeding up and slowing down during a song, it makes sense that you would have noticed that and that it works for me. Like I
Mhm.
never picked up on that at all. That's how good of a drummer I am, everybody. Any other band comparisons?
Oh, I'm trying to conjure up some names. There's definitely some dead Kennedys in there, but I'm coming up at a loss right at this moment. So
So
hit me
yeah,
with yours.
yes,
What are your
I'll give you the ones I found on the interwebs first. Yes, Officer draws comparisons to Queens of the Stone Age,
no
at the Drive-In,
no
The Hives,
yeah, if the Hives were on massive amounts of cocaine, but go ahead.
Franz Ferdinand.
No,
I'm not familiar with anything except for Queens of the Stone Age there. I haven't listened to any of those other bands.
no, no. I mean, they're trying to mainstream them, basically. That's what these
Yeah.
are these like reviews or something or comments or because I'm not hearing any of those things. The Hives a little bit, but no, I can't imagine him.
What I hear personally
Uh,
is a combination of the Foo Fighters and Rage Against the Machine with
the
some
Rage, I can see it. I don't see a whole lot of Foo Fighters in there
that
either. But
first riff doesn't just scream Foo Fighters at you. I'm going to play just the
there
opening
was a
riff.
riff. There was a riff in there that was a very growlish riff, but it would be more like Dave Grohl's first band. What was that?
Oh yeah, the one in the
From
DC area.
DC. Yeah, it sounds a lot like DC hardcore. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm and I'm trying if Frosty was here because he was in that scene. He
Frosty
would
is our other guitar player in the
guitar
band
player,
we
yeah.
play in. To be fair,
Um, if he was here, he would know the names of those bands, and he would love this guy absolutely because that's what they were doing back in the late '80s, early '90s.
oh, I didn't realize this was his thing.
This was his thing. He was in hardcore. Yeah.
All right, so that's one song off of his first album. I would love to play you more, but we need to move on, and we need to move closer to modern day. 2019, he puts out another album. This one is called Lessons from a Snake Oil Salesman. And I am fine with us playing any of the songs on this album, which means you get to choose. You have 10 choices. The song titles you have to choose from are Snake Oil, Paper Giant, Crisis Actor, To Lower the Bar, Liviers, Idle Hands, Echo Chamber, Litmus, Pocket, and Commonplace. Do any of those?
I want to go with Crisis Actor. I want to see what his if the theme is what I think it is.
There you go. All right, this is Crisis Actor by Yes Officer. Crisis Actor by Yes Officer. It's hard not to say Crisis
Yes, Officer.
Actor by Yes Officer, but we did it. So there you go, Gary. That's your second song. You chose it. What do you think of your choice?
Oh man, he's definitely matured in those 2 years. This was much more pronounced, had a more pronounced melody. That bridge was intriguing. And it is, and I'm trying to think, he pulled that motif from somewhere, and it's right on the tip of my brain. Hopefully I'll figure it out by the time we talk to him. But yes, and now this one I heard elements of Black Flag, so he's still in the hardcore realm, branching out a little bit. I still don't hear any of that stuff that people were saying, but except maybe the Hives. But yeah, it's definitely he grew up a lot in 2 years as far as songwriting goes. So
absolutely, and that entire album, "Lessons from a Snake Oil Salesman," is excellent. We literally could have played any one of those 10 songs, and we would have been happy. We would have been banging our heads, mosh pitting if we were seeing it live. Like this is, it pisses you off and it energizes you kind of at the same time. I'm gonna choose right now to tell you my only critique. The only thing I don't like about this, I wish I could understand him better. Like, I cannot tell what he's saying. It's going to take a lot of listens to these songs for me to be like, oh, that's what. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes,
that's kind of the point of it, though.
yeah, that's
The
that
voice
style of music, right?
is just another instrument. It's not about. It is about the lyrics, but it's not about the lyrics, and it's always buried right in the middle of the mix with. It's like if you think of it, if you think of you're driving down like in a valley,
Hmm.
and the mountains are the guitars and the bass and the drums and and the wind going through this valley, and the vocal is the car on the road that's going right down through the valley. It's still going, it's still there. That's the most thing that you can hear, but you can't discern anything from the wind and the everything from off the valley walls. And that's sonically, that's what it almost looks like, in a on a graph.
So
And
it's a
that's the
choice.
standard for this. That's the standard for this genre.
Got it. Do you think that the folks in this genre, because this is not my genre, right? Like, I like
Hmm.
heavy music, hard rock, but I'm not like a super heavy metalhead. I'm not a post punk, hardcore, post hardcore, whatever this is called. I don't even know the name of it, right? The genre.
This is pretty. I mean, so far it's been pretty straight up hardcore slash post hardcore.
So
So
is this a choice that these musicians make, knowing full well that it's going to keep them from being mainstream, and they're okay with that? Because I think it's harder to break out into the to a wider audience if people can't understand what you're singing.
well, there's a great there are tons actually there's tons of great examples of this, but the one that comes to mind to me the most is Bad Religion. They came out of the hardcore scene in Southern California. They're like, fuck record labels, fuck everything, fuck commerce. We're going to have our own record label. They ended up becoming rather rich because they're really good at what they do. But they go along in virtual obscurity, just selling stuff to their fans, and even though they have their own record company and everything. And then they end up uh, booking a couple of other, like signing. I think they signed the Offspring, which has
Mm,
the highest selling independent record in the world ever, and will never be topped ever again.
that is such a
Um,
great album.
but in for themselves and Bad Religion, they've been together for around 40 years. And about 30 years, 25, 30 years into it, they release a song that becomes a hit, and they had no idea what to do. It's like, uh, and of course, a lot of the people like, oh, y'all sold out. Like, fuck no, we didn't sell out. We didn't do anything different than we ever have. It's just we bought the vocals up a little bit in the mix. It's like, what?
That's all it
And
took.
yeah, and and finally they got over that. They got past it, but they were dumbfounded that anyone. They didn't care. They just wanted to make a living. They just wanted to put out their music. They wanted to tour. They wanted to play for people. And anybody playing this kind of music, not a single one of them is going, I'm going to be famous. They don't want, that's they're making a statement. They're doing their art their way. They're doing what I mean. That's why he said, I'm going to listen to you guys. I'm not just going to go, oh yeah, sure. It's not that he was being an asshole or anything, but he wanted he didn't want some slick thing, and he didn't want something that made him look stupid.
Mhm.
So it's a not even a fine line. It's a wide paved road for these guys to walk on, because it is not, you don't go for commercialism, but you also never ever want to look stupid, because it's this is what you do. And if you notice, both songs started out exactly the same guitar he's using, same guitar tone, same guitar amp, collect everything is exactly the same, and then the song kicks in. So there is method to his madness. I want to hear the next one and see if that one does the same thing, because
I
that's
think we're
going
going to change
that
things up a little bit
I
on you.
think that's going to give us an idea of where he's been and where he's going.
So this next song comes from his next album, released in 2020. The album is called Autobiography of a Naysayer. And I want to read you what he says about the song we're going to listen to. It is the 10th song on an 11-song album. The song is called Identity Parade. And before I play it, this is what he said in an interview. He said, "This was the first song I wrote for the album starting in March. The song was centered around the heavy riff in the chorus. I put the drum beat down and then played with the direction, trying to lead myself to that riff in an organic way that didn't seem forced. The chorus is a bit of an explosion compared to the intro, and it feels like a cathartic release of built-up tension. Lyrically, I wanted to bring forward the idea that even with all of the right steps, sometimes things just don't work out, and in the end, you don't really know who you are. Even with this song, I struggled with the lyrics for the heavy part. Nothing sits right. Nothing sounds right. Nothing feels right. Nothing is right. I was complaining that I couldn't find the right words to finish the song. Funny enough, it tied the loose ends together. It was the first song I started and the last song I finished. This is Identity Parade by Yes Officer. Identity Parade by Yes Officer. Gary, your thoughts?
Oh, I have a bunch, but I want to start out by saying that's our new walk-in song.
Oh, you want that on our pre-show playlist when our band plays out?
No, that's what we go on stage with.
Oh, that's what's playing while we walk onto the stage.
The walk-on song, yeah.
Oh, I like it.
And when that stops, the dead stop, and we're in. Oh,
Ooh, I like it.
Put that down. Write that down. You're in charge of that. So,
okay, I'm writing it down.
So, damn. Where do I start? This guy has. When was this one out?
2020.
You know, 2020. So only a year after the last one, the growth is. He's going logarithmic now. I mean, it went from geometric to exponential, and now it's already logarithmic. So God knows what's going to happen in the future ones. But he found Jane's Addiction, and he found Rage Against the Machine, and he slammed those two people together, and still had that same guitar sound. Now the first part, that's like the prelude, but when the song starts, it's that same guitar. That's so great. That's like his signature, man. It's that it's like it's got to be like a telly or some weird Japanese thing, offshoot, or Italian or something like that, because it's just got this hollow, clank clank sound, and man, it is so recognizable now that a song without that, a song with that, I know it's immediately, Yes Officer. If he ever takes that away, that's going to cause consternation amongst his fans, because it is inherent to the sound of his songs. And even in the prelude part, he's got that, he's playing it a little more delicately, but it's, that's still there. But then that's when I start pointing, was as soon as the hard part was getting ready to start, hit that signature sound comes in, and it's like, okay, now we're going for it. But goddamn, I love that song.
We've talked a lot with bands and about bands that have a different sound all the time, right? They're always evolving and changing, and they sound different on one album to the next, one song to the next. And the debate is out, right? Like, who cares? If you like that, great. If you don't like that, fine. But no doubt about it, that's not the thing with this guy.
The thing is
one of the first bands we've done where their sound is so consistent. Each song is its own. Like, it's not like he's just rewriting the same song.
Also, the album. I mean, the writing from the first one to the second one to this one is so, and the arrangement and the everything about it is so much better, is so much more. It's more in your face, yet not as in your face.
Yeah,
and the structure, the song structure, everything about it is much better, and the songs have way more texture and everything in it. Yet it still contains this I just call it a signature sound, man, because that's what it is. And I just hope he keeps on doing it, because it's something, it gives you a little peace. And also, if you're listening to it, if you've been a fan of his since 2017, and you haven't heard him for a while, and he comes in and he's like, oh, this is my new song, and he hits that wank, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna like this. But if he comes in and does something completely different, you might go, oh, I like the old stuff better, that kind of thing.
I've got one more song to play for you.
Amongst songs on the album, that's for sure, and that's where we were getting into it, a little bit. So
I've got one more song to play for you. Jeremy's going to be here in about 15 minutes, and so we got to get ready. But there's been some some updates, some changes, some evolution. It continues. So he has continued to put out songs, not an album, but songs since Autobiography of a Naysayer, Pace Yourself in 2022, the song Getting Warmer in 2025, and his most recent release, Salt in the Wound, this year in 2026. And before we listen to that, you need to know that he has started working with a producer. That producer's name is Greg Wells. Ever heard of him?
Yeah. I'm just trying to
He
picture
has won
where-
multiple Grammys. He's a Canadian record producer. He's a songwriter, a multi-instrumentalist, and mixed engineer based in Los Angeles, widely considered one of the most versatile and accomplished producers in the modern era. He has songs on over 130 million albums sold, with streaming numbers exceeding 20 billion. Some examples of people he's worked with: Adele, One Republic, Katy Perry, Pink, Taylor Swift, Dua Lipa, Ariana Grande, 21 Pilots, Kid Cudi, Timbaland, John Legend, Elton John, Mika, and more.
Wow.
I don't know how these two got connected, but I do know that this song we're going to listen to is the first song he's put out with
Greg Wells.
And this song is called Salt in the Wound.
And the pain comes first, smothers like a tidal wave, while we sit and wait for some miracle. Never shows its pretty face, never shows its beady eyes. How do we pull ourselves out of this? And the fear comes next, like a ticking bomb, while we close our eyes and count to 10. Nothing but a sour taste, nothing but the time we waste. How did we get ourselves into this? You got salt in the wound, you got nothing left to lose, and I'm afraid to lose it all. You got salt in the wound, you got nothing left to prove, and I would hate to prove you wrong. You got salt in the wound, there's no salt in the wound, yeah. It's written on these walls. My voice will echo through these halls. Listen closely. Listen closely. Listen closely. Listen closely. You got salt in the wound, you got nothing left to lose, and I'm afraid to lose it all.
Salt in the Wound by Yes Officer. His newest single, Jeremy Harnum, the creative force behind Yes Officer, working with producer Greg Wells. I picked up a couple differences between that previous work. What did you pick up, Gary? Let's both cough
All
it
right.
out.
Yeah, cough it up, cough it up.
There we go.
All right, so
All right.
here's my here's my take on it. Okay, so now, I mean, from our conversation about the first song, and I said, "Oh, they are not at all the Foo Fighters." Now it's like I'm saying it's the Foo Fighters with the vocalist from Supertramp channeling Jane's Addiction and taking a break into Pink Floyd land. But it's also
With some Rage Against the Machine mixed in.
with still some rage, still some rage. I mean, still the Jane's Addiction and Rage is still there, but also the overall sound of it. I wonder if that's where there was this. They were screamo band called Thursday. It had a lot of the elements from that. From from the emo sound, like late emo, late '90s emo. When it had gotten into screamo, with still with Supertramp, the guys from Supertramp singing, the guy's voice that's all I can hear when I hear his voice is the vocalist from Supertramp, which the voice I love, but it's kind of odd in a real heavy setting, which makes it even that much cooler. But
Yeah.
that definitely takes him into the emo phase. But this one, the Pink Floyd jumping in there about halfway through, just really, really put me on board for this one. So it's like you got all my favorite bands in one song. Foo Fighters, Rage, Jane's Addiction, Supertramp, and Thursday, all wrapped up in one song. That's art. I don't care who you are.
What I liked about it was that it wouldn't take too many listens to this song to be able to sing along with him. I
You
could
are correct.
understand what he was saying, like the whole song.
That's what producers do.
That's what,
And that's also what growth does. That's what you're pushing along. At first, the whole idea behind hardcore was the lyrics don't matter that much. The lyrics are just something to go along because no one's going to understand them anyway, on the record, off the record. A lot of times then you got into the later hardcore with Black Flag, and they printed the lyrics out because their lyrics meant something. And
Yeah.
then by the time you got into more of the heavy alt, the Rage Against the Machines, the Jane's Addictions and stuff like that, it was important, and so they tried to make it. They put the vocals out front more, and they did. It was more of more vocal centric. But any producer, they know that if you want to get people to listen to it, and not just your hardcore fans, and I'm not meaning hardcore fans, but your hardcore fans and hardcore fans, I guess, then you got to hear the vocals.
Yeah.
We're having that go back and forth with Bremen right now at the record company, and the producer's like, we got to hear the fucking vocals, and they're like, no, I just want it buried, and just like everyone, like, no. So they're kind of they're at a standstill right now, and have been for a while of where do we put the vocals. And
All right, Gary, I've got good news and bad news. Yes Officer is sitting in our Zoom waiting room right now. Normally I give you a smoke break, but this time, can you handle it? Can we just bring him right in? And
I'm gonna have to, man. I gotta do it. The
all
show
right,
must
I'm doing it.
roll.
I'm admitting Jeremy Harnum into the room. Let's see what happens. There
He is. There we
All
go.
right. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Got me?
We can
Okay.
hear you now.
we got
Sorry, there
you.
was some sort of issue with my phone, and anyway, it was connected to my phone, not my computer.
Oh, no worries.
That's the first time that's ever happened with us. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely no technical issues.
Everything has always been just smooth as silk here.
Jeremy Harnum of Yes Officer, welcome to Bands You've Never Heard of. I'm JR. He's
And
Gary.
I'm Gary.
I've been a fan of yours for a few weeks now. Gary is your newest fan. I've spent the last hour playing him. A carefully selected 4 of your songs to introduce him
Great.
to Yes Officer, and we've been dissecting them and talking about you. So your ears were probably burning, and we are super excited to talk to you.
And he
Oh,
has
fantastic. Well,
he
thanks
has
so
the
much.
great haircut too.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Between the three of us, we can't make one head of hair, I don't think.
No, not even close.
But no.
No reason doesn't to start.
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you guys so much for having me. I mean, I'm excited to get on here and talk about the project, talk about the new album that's coming out, and yeah.
Oh,
See
you
what you guys
answered.
thought of
You
it
answered
also.
one of my questions already. Thank you so much.
Well, let's hit the big question, which we didn't even discuss. But how many people come up to you and go, "I love Yes Officer"?
um, I've had a couple little snafus before in the name, but typically people get it. But
Okay.
Ossifer is there. Yeah, I've heard that one.
It was tough. I
Or people
played.
actually responding to me with "Yes, officer," and I'm like, please stop.
Oh no, no. So I found you. I explained in my email to you. I've already explained it to our listeners, but the short version is I'm doing a community theater production of Come From Away, and so I've done a deep dive research into that whole 9/11 experience in mostly
Mhm.
Gander, but in more places in Newfoundland. And I do this show, so I thought, well, it'd be kind of cool if I could find a band that's from Newfoundland. And
Yeah.
I started going through bands, and yours was the first one that really piqued my interest. It especially happened when I saw your bio about loud abrasive music for people that like loud abrasive music.
Yeah,
Uh,
I made that tagline up a few years ago. I may need to alter that one a bit, but
it's
I
one
think
of
it
the
stands true,
things that it hooked me, and then I started listening to Salt in the Wound. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Mm,
And then I've been deep diving, and I've exposed Gary to a small portion of your music, and so that brings us all up to speed. And I just want to start by asking, by saying you are a one man band, right? Like it is just you as far as the creative process goes.
correct. Yep. Yeah. So the project started in 2017. I had been a musician for a number of years here, playing in the city with a few friends. And I grew up in playing in high school bands, cover bands, covering Nirvana, The Offspring, and all that kind of stuff. So I used to play bass in those bands. And then I was that guy at the band practice that I don't think anybody really liked when I used to hop over to the drums all the time. I was trying to rotate on the instruments, and everybody was like, "Stay in your lane." But yeah, I used to hop on the drums a whole bunch, so I always loved rhythm. I played a bit of music with another friend of mine, Alyssa, and she's a great songwriter. But I would play acoustic guitar for her. So I cut my teeth on three of those sort of main instruments that I play now. Dating back to my teenage years, growing up, coming through high school and stuff. So I was in a band here in the city of St. John's, the capital city of Newfoundland, Newfoundland Labrador, I should say. And I was a two-piece effort mostly. It varied back and forth between a three and a two-piece, kind of that like guitar and drums garage rock kind of feel. Though we didn't quite play garage rock style music. But anyway, I digress. So that's where I was playing drums live for the first time, and I really enjoyed that. The guitarist of that band, he moved out west to Vancouver, and I ended up moving back home, funny enough, to my hometown of like 450 people. I left the city after university and went back and funny enough, went to my hometown and found a job somehow. But in doing
Ah,
that, I distanced myself from the creative music scene that was here in the city. I was an hour and a half's drive away, but it was still enough that it was an impedance to getting to practice with people regularly. So I had most of the instruments kicking around anyway at home. I had a set of drums, I had a guitar and a bass, and I kind of was like, why am I waiting for somebody else? Like I can at least make my way through most of these instruments. I can still be writing music if I, really wanted to. So I started putting together some of the first songs on that very first album in 2017. And yeah, the rest is history. We're 4 albums in right now. The first 3 albums they are just home recorded efforts. Everything was very DIY. I didn't know how to use these programs or how to properly record music, for a number of years, and I still, definitely, refer to the experts on that stuff. I'm definitely not a recording engineer, so this is my first time with this latest album that's coming out by the end of May, doing it properly in a studio with, recording engineers, mix engineers, and producers and stuff. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, the
Before we
way that
get in, before we get
okay.
into the experience you're having in the studio now, I think we want to live in the do-it-yourself realm for a little bit because I think we
Sure.
have questions there. Gary, you've got something queued up.
Yeah, the way that JR presented it to me, he took me all the way back to the 2017 and played the first song of the very, because that's what we like to do. This is the first thing that anybody ever heard
Mhm.
I
of
played him.
his
You've still got
officer.
time.
You still got
Oh,
time.
God. Gotcha.
And then he's like going, so who does it sound like? I'm like, oh man, it's like definitely, definitely hardcore, maybe some post-hardcore, but it's definitely in that lane. And he started telling me all these bands that you'd been compared to, and I'm like, no, no, no. you know because it was very in the pocket for late 80s early 90s hardcore.
Hmm.
And even though it was 20 years later, it doesn't matter. That's where you were. And then he played Crisis Actors from the next release, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man. So you've got a sound now. I love the for the first 3 songs that we listened to, you started each one with the janky guitar.
Yes. Yeah.
And what kind of guitar is that, by the way?
So I think on those first 3 albums, it was the same guitar. That would have been
It
a
was
Mustang.
absolutely, oh, a Mustang. Okay.
Yeah, so I think I take a lot of influence from that like 90s sound with Nirvana and
Uh-huh.
Cobain's sort of Mustang vibe. Any of that really thin sort of
Yeah.
jangly guitar. I always really love that sound, and a lot of the sounds I guess that I would assume probably would have come from like Butch Vig with like Smashing Pumpkins
Hmm.
and his work with Smashing Pumpkins and his work with Nirvana, those bands too, right? It was a lot of that really thin thing, but it's the quiet, loud, quiet thing, right? You get that really thin guitar, and then all of a sudden you
Right.
get hit
Yeah.
with, the energy once the distortion kicks in. But yeah,
But
that's
what
what I
I
sort of
loved
picture.
about it was through those 3 albums, you were holding on to it. You did not, because a lot of people, a lot of bands, a lot of artists want to just, oh, I want to ditch this other thing. I don't want that anymore. But that
Hmm.
gave a continuity, and even with, and we'll get to the new record at the end. But you even carry it through just a little bit um, with Salt in Your Wound, but it's still, it's not, just a, but anyway, that was,
Yeah.
I wanted to find out what you did that with, and if was that how you wrote the song, or is that how you recorded the song? I mean, how did that,
Um, yeah. So it's definitely a little bit of both. I mean, it probably sounds so thin and sharp because it's the lack of me really knowing what I probably should be doing.
you
When it
should
comes to
be
the
doing
recording
exactly
process.
like you did it. That
Yeah.
was, that's my
Well, I
comment.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's some part of that definitely is falling into it kind of backwards because I didn't know any better. So I was just kind of trying to get the song out. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a little bit of that, and yeah, like I mentioned before with the quiet, loud, quiet
Mhm.
vibe that I really like with a lot of that,
The
that stuff
Pixies.
that I grew up with. Yeah, Pixies, and then obviously that I will probably reference Nirvana and the '90s stuff a little bit. I'm born in '91, so but I was. My sister, who's 11 years older than me, she, I know you're shaking your head. There's a lot of gray in this beard for 91. But anyway, she's 11 years older than I am. So in her coming up through, she essentially like raised me as, when my parents were away, I was looked after by her, but she was very much influenced by a lot of that stuff. And I think through that, I was able to sort of fall into the 90s alt vibes through Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, those sorts of bands. Um, yeah, it just all kind of came naturally through my influences, I guess. And like this album now has like the songs I feel are still have a lot of that ethos to them. Just the production quality is upped. It's done properly. Properly, it's done in a studio. It's
Hmm.
done with the care of somebody who's spent years and years working on this kind of music.
Some
So
direction. Yeah.
yeah, and um, when you hear a song like "Salt in the Wound" versus one of the things that I recorded in my bedroom, you can really tell the level difference of like just professional production quality. The songs I still feel, I could have potentially taken any of those songs and re-recorded them, and I feel like it would probably lift and elevate them in regards to um, I don't know, perhaps a quote unquote mass appeal, whatever that mass looks like. But I
Mm.
feel like with the sort of DIY nature, it's not always to everybody's taste, which you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the songs I still feel there's some pretty good merit in some of the newer stuff too. But I appreciate the nod on the DIY aspects.
Well,
I'm not done asking about that. You got another one, Gary, or my
no, go
turn?
ahead. I want you
All right.
next.
Uh, I'm just so curious. What is the process like? We've heard of people doing this before, right? Like Dave Grohl is famous for having made his first album all on his own. Uh,
Yep.
but so, how do you attack that? How do you go from a song in your head to drums, bass, guitar, and vocals all laid down? And I'm not even worried about the do you know how to do this on the computer side? I'm more worried about I assume you can hit record, but then how do you make that into a song? What do you do first, second, third, fourth? And how does that work?
Yeah, I'll take you through the songwriting process a little bit. So for me, everything kind of starts with the guitar riff. Most times, I think I would say about 95% of my music has been a guitar riff first. That's where it exists. I have video after video after video on my phone of just me playing some jangly little guitar riff on a guitar that's probably not even plugged in at the time. It's just for me to remember the chords, really. Um, the other side of it, when it comes to the actual like theme of the song or whatever I'm writing about. Um, I also have a note on my phone, like a notes app on my phone with a particular note. It just has a bunch of one-liners and song titles written in it. Like I don't write something and say, "Oh, this is what the song title is going to be." A lot of times, I have a song title written down. And I go, I'm going to
Title
write a song today
first.
called "Salt in the Wound," and then
Sweet.
I move into that with, okay, this guitar riff sounds like it could be "Salt in the Wound." So now let me take that guitar riff and expand upon it and start to, you know, put together the structure of a song. Typically, when I am recording it, I know you don't want to go into that too far, but typically when I am recording, it's drums first, and then I layer the guitar, and then layer the bass and vocals afterwards.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. No,
actually the part I
that's
personally
exactly
the
what you were
most
working. Yeah.
I'm most curious about that process too.
Right.
In addition to the creation of the idea of the song, but the technical, like logistical recording it. And
Yeah.
so you just said it. What comes first, guitar or
No,
drums?
drums.
So
Drums.
drums first on the actual recording itself. So I'll have like a scratch guitar take because I have played around with the riff a little bit. So the scratch guitar take gives me enough of a structure for me to play the drums along to
Oh,
it, right?
so it actually starts with the guitar.
The scratch guitar, yeah, it's not like any
Yeah.
sort of finished
Same.
guitar riff
Yeah.
or whatever, right? So the guitar riff starts on a video. I end up going over to my computer and I just lay down the scratch guitar. I'll play the drums to that. A lot of times when I'm playing the drums, it's just whatever I'm like. In my head. I've been listening to as I'm playing the guitar riff. I've been playing drums in my head along to it, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
So I sit down and I mimic whatever that was in my head that as I was writing that guitar riff. Okay, like this guitar riff is going to have the drum part that does this thing, whatever. So I listen to the scratch guitar track. I throw the drums down. I go back and redo the guitar tracks and layer them because sometimes there's lead lines and you want to thicken it up a little bit. So I do like two guitar tracks. And then throw the bass on there for a little bit of thickness, and then vocals typically at the end. And a lot of times I'll have a song written, and I'll be like, okay, this one is "Salt in the Wound," and I haven't written a lyric yet, but the rest of the song exists. There's no vocals on there, but I've already dubbed this song "Salt in the Wound," and then I go and write thematically based on whatever "Salt in the Wound" that one line or that title means to me in that moment.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, you take a different bent from some of the other people that we. Of course, everybody
Mm.
comes at it differently.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
I
every
think
one
it's
of
the
my
joy of it
songs.
all, right?
Every one of my songs starts out as a folk song.
Right,
It's like John Denver singing to his kids or whatever, and uh,
right,
and then and then we start to break it up and break it out and break it down.
right. I'm not
And
texting. I was just going to quickly show you. It's like
oh, no worries.
my. This is just all. It's all just guitar.
Oh,
That's all it is, right? This is all just videos of me playing guitar. That's all it is. Just random little
So
clips. So
I had I
like
did
it could
have
just be like,
I did have a
but
specific question about Crisis. Actually, that was the second song for me. So we went with uh, "You Still Got Time," and then "Crisis Actor" was the second one. And you went into this bridge, man. And I
mhm.
that bridge, the theme of the motif in that bridge, it was immediately recognizable. But for the life of me, if you had a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you where I recognized it from. Did it just happen to you, or
Just think about that
did you pick
song.
it up from something?
I had to think about that song for a second. I don't think I've played that one in I don't know how many years now.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Um,
little old to be
Crisis
something as
Actor. So I
nitpicky
feel
as
like the
that
bridge in
one.
that I thought it was it everything kind of strips away, right? It's just like
Hmm.
it's
da-da-da,
just
Yeah,
guitar.
da-da-da.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's super this is probably not going to be the answer that you'd like to hear, but I think that was more of a I'll get around to getting something here and it
Oh,
kind
you
of
wanted
just
to just
stuck.
get from point A to point B, and that
Yeah,
was
I
the.
think it was more of I needed to get the structure. So the interesting thing about that second
Well,
album,
that's a
I don't
great
know.
way to do that. Let me just put it that way. It's like,
Yeah, I just threw it in there and was just kind of like, okay, if something comes back and hits me, I'll fix that. Um, or fix that. Maybe it doesn't need to be fixed. But yeah, interesting thing about that second album, it was recorded as part of the RPM challenge. Are you folks familiar with the RPM?
RPM. No.
So
no.
great. So I'll tell you a quick little one-liner, and anybody who's listening here that wants to get involved in RPM, you can find it. I think it's like RPM. I don't know if it's like recordproductionmonth.com. It's something like I'll figure out the link and you can link people if people are interested.
Excellent. Yeah.
The idea is in the coldest, shortest month of the year in February, you write and record an album. So that's what the second album was based on an RPM
Oh,
challenge. So it's taken off here in St. John's for a number of years. I've the first time I ever did it was 2013 with my old band, the Glendas, and we did an entire album. It was either 10 at that time. It was 10 songs or 35 minutes worth of recorded material in 28 days, start to finish. So that album, Lessons from a Snake Oil Salesman, was that exact same approach. It was written during the entire month of February and recorded. So hence why that bridge in my mind, when I think about that bridge, I've always sort of been like, "Ugh, this always just feels unfinished to me,
Oh no, it's
because it was
beautiful.
part of the. I need to get this out because it's part of the challenge. And again, the challenge is just for fun. It's just for the purpose of, um, let's make music for the hell of it. You know what I mean? Let's make music and just inspire people to create. So you get varying levels of people from super DIY, just voice notes on their phone, to people doing full on productions. Whereas I was somewhere in between with a little bit more of a little bit like there's multi tracks going on, but it's still not like a full studio
Mm.
quality production as such. You know what I mean? So that's what happened with that album.
So the RPM thing that sounds very Canadian.
Yeah.
That's
So
something.
it has it does have, I think, I can't remember exactly where it had started. There's a number of different sort of pockets around North America that are really into it. I think there's something I think in I don't know if it's New Jersey or New Hampshire. I don't know. There is another spot that was in the States that was pretty into it. I can't remember its exact origins. I haven't done it in a few years since 2019 actually. But funny enough, it took off so big here. Like it was super huge here. And I guess it's so cold and miserable all throughout February. What else are you gonna
yeah.
do? And one thing about Newfoundland and Labrador, it just has such like per capita, it has such a crazy amount of artists making music all the time. So there's definitely a huge uptick here, and people are in multiple bands doing all kinds of different crazy things. So the RPM challenge took off here, and so much so that the person who was helping facilitate it for Newfoundland and Labrador is now I believe, the executive director of that program. Like he's now the one that's in charge of the thing globally. So
Wow.
it's and shout out to Elling if he's ever to listen to this. Elling Lean is fantastic with helping folks get across that finish line. It's really cool.
That's cool because there's plenty of musicians that don't need that kind of motivation, but for folks
Of
that are
course.
like, you put a deadline in front of me and I'll get it done kind of people.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
would also be like a really fun thing because we took 3 years to get our last record out. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it
but that's
gets,
that's just it, right? It's just for the sake of making music, right? Let's just get in
yeah.
there and see what happens. That's kind of the whole ethos of the RPM challenge.
One of the questions I was going to ask, but you've kind of already answered, but I'd like to touch on it again. Well, I was going to ask, it seems like you have stuff to say in these songs. And I was going to ask if the song serves the thing you want to say to people, or if the thing you want to say to people comes out of the song. And it sounds like, based on your process, the thing you want to say to people comes out of the song. But you you're using this as a way to tell people something, right? And what kind of things are you trying to tell us in these songs?
Yeah, I mean, uh, not to sound too cliche on it, but I think there's ways in which people can pull what they want to hear out of it. Again, at the risk of sounding absolutely cliche. A lot of my storytelling, a lot of my art and music and background is based in my own personal experience. So, I grew up in a rural town of 450 people here in Newfoundland, like very small. I came out in 2018. I spent most of my life just kind of wondering what's different about me, what's wrong with me, in a lot of ways,
Mm.
and just really sort of struggling to find my own place, especially in rural Newfoundland. And not because I was mistreated or anything like that. It's not like that. It was more of my own personal thing of being like, but I'm not like that person over there. Or like I don't quite see the things the same way they do, and just trying to work through that feeling of isolation. Even though again, I wasn't. It's not that I was mistreated or anything like that, or bullied or anything. I just didn't really know my place. I spent a number of years when I spoke to friends about this later. I spent a number of years sort of thinking, I just felt sort of numb to a lot of, the guys were going to get with the girls and, finding girlfriends and the girls were finding, like, I didn't have any of that, that sort of ambition's not the right word, but I didn't have those sort of tendencies to want to move into that sort of world and go down that pathway that, everybody sort of said was the right way to go or the normal way to go. So I think a lot thematically within all three of these albums that are currently out and the one that's coming now, they kind of all deal with similar levels of that kind of queer rural experience where I was trying to find my way through the isolation, through the anxiety, through the fear, the worry, the wonder. They all sort of thematically link on that. I think the first album, Because There Is No Other Way, now when you hear me say that, it's kind of like you can see the nail on the head for the album title, right? I'm physically lifting a veil off of my face on the album cover, uh, and it's kind of like, okay. It also came out, I think, like 3 or 4 days before I actually came out publicly to
Oh.
everybody. So it was very much rooted in that, like, um, in that experience, and then the next album dealt with kind of trying to navigate the world of, it's not like specifically about like dating, but it's just like relationships and connection to other people, and lessons from a snake oil, the people who promise you everything in life, whether that be physically one person that's saying, um oh yeah, we're gonna do this and be together and do whatever, and then have them you know run away from you and leave you kind of behind. Or if that's like, oh, once you come out, everything's going to be fine, you'll be fine on the other side of this, just get to this point and everything will be okay, but never actually realizing that that never comes true, sort of thing, right? So a lot of the uh again, anxieties and worries around those sorts of things. So this is the kind of stuff that I think has been thematic through all of my work right up through. And the next album, I might as well go down the list at this point. I'll finish up with the next one here.
Yeah.
Autobiography of a Naysayer. Um, that one was a lot to do with the self doubt, right? Of like, once I've kind of gone through these few years of being out and trying to find my place and that sort of thing, it's like just wondering if it's ever gonna land in place, if it's ever gonna work out for you. Um and then feeling that sort of like being sort of self-reflective on that, as somebody who's kind of feeling down and out and just not able to sort of pick it up. You're that naysayer. Um, yeah, and it was it was very autobiographical at the time for me to talk about the ways in which, I wasn't sure how I was going to proceed through it and figure it out because I didn't have the answers. It's not written in a book somewhere. It's like you really kind of just got to figure it out yourself and write your own book.
And it's got to be
Not to
tougher,
be too
but
literal, but
and it's got to be a little bit tougher because you weren't in a big city. You weren't
yeah,
you weren't in a small city. You're
no,
the isolation is already there, and then you're getting
yeah,
isolated within the isolation. So I mean, it's
yeah, for
like
sure.
so I man, more power to you. Uh,
Yeah, I found that was the spot that I could channel my energy that just felt the most, first off, felt the most like me, but also just, yeah, it was just the greatest way to um yeah, just kind of let those feelings out and do it in a way that was productive. And anybody at all listening and struggling with anything to do with their mental health, I think could listen to some of that music and find their own lessons from a snake oil salesman or whatever, through that, and they can
well, yeah,
find out ways in
because
which they can relate to it.
the next song that JR played for me was Identity Parade, and now it takes on a whole new meaning
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
yeah,
'Cause
And
yeah.
I'm
Again, a lot. Go ahead.
I read an interview and I talked to Gary about it a little bit. Your thoughts on Identity Parade and coming up with the song, how it was the first song you started, the last song you finished, and how that
Yeah,
chorus is so damn cathartic.
yeah,
It was one of my favorite things about doing this show is getting to watch Gary experience these songs for the first time because I know what's
yeah. It's
coming.
really the deep dive identity parade. Wow, I don't think it's actually even played live yet. I don't think I've
So
done that
so
one live.
somehow we picked the song. I picked the songs that
Yeah,
you don't play live. I
yeah.
love it.
I think, yeah. So the very first song we ever played live was "You've Still Got Time." So it's funny that that was the very first song I ever opened with when we did our first show in May of 2019.
Yes,
So that was a good choice. Great job on that one.
we got one right.
Um, you got one. Crisis Actor has been played a few times. I think I kind of yeah, that one fell off a little bit because I think I still wasn't super happy with the bridge. So we played it a few times, and then
I'll be
I've
happy with
kind of
that
since.
bridge, man.
Oh, I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so
Embrace
I
the
think that was
bridge. Embrace
embrace
that
the bridge.
bridge.
Yeah, I
Well,
should. I should.
the cathartic
Um,
nature of the chorus in Identity Parade was
yeah,
what speaks to me about that song, and I would
yeah,
think it might speak to somebody who is dealing with some identity issues and some
yeah,
frustrations and anxiety and all of that. And so,
yeah,
even if you're not ready to come out, that might help you feel better for a little while, right?
yeah. Right. No, for me, it was definitely more of a, just a release of a lot of frustration. And funny enough, within that as well, I think it's less about the. I shouldn't say less about it, perhaps, but there's parts of it that are more about like I think it was also part of the writing process where again I started that one first and finished it last, and I think the chorus is like nothing sits right, nothing sounds right,
Yes.
nothing feels right.
Yes.
That's less about me as a person. I think even it's kind of you know talking about that song. It's like this song isn't like nothing is feeling right in this yet, until I sort of got to that point where I was like, let me just talk about the fact that the song is not it's not coming out the way I like. And then once I kind of hit that nerve and that vein, I was like, oh no, there's legs here. I just needed to kind of speak about how this song is frustrating the hell out of me, and it relates to other aspects. You
Exactly.
can
Yeah.
you can paint a different
Becomes
picture
more
with it depending
universal.
on what's. Yeah, yeah. No. So
I,
sometimes it's like, you might be like, oh, what's the meaning of a song? It's like, oh, I was pissed off and I couldn't figure out how to finish the song, so I just started being mad at the fact that I couldn't finish the song.
I
So
don't, go ahead,
go ahead.
Gary. No,
So
I asked the last one. Your turn, buddy.
okay. So being on that song, like I said, the earlier songs, it's like, oh man, this is like straight up, late hardcore, post hardcore stuff. And with this one, I'm like, oh, you found Jane's Addiction, and then you found Rage Against the Machine,
Mm.
and you were able to mold those two in there. Was that something that you were listening to at the time, or had you been introduced to them, or did it just come by from the back door? That
So I don't often like if I'm writing music, I'm not like, oh, let me write a song that kind of feels like this band, or I don't tend to go down those sorts of
Oh
paths.
no, I'm not saying
Um,
that. I'm just saying, was that there in prior to that, or did you just come into it like? Because when they became what they did, they
mhm.
weren't listening to themselves. They didn't
No, it's
know,
true. Yeah.
they were listening to something else. So
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I think it is a mix of all my influences. Like a lot of people bring up the Rage Against the Machine thing, and they're not a band that I listen to. I think it's I have listened to them, like growing up in my teenage years. I guess there's some parts of especially like the riff heavy kind of stuff that I do.
your
I can
phrasing,
see,
it's your
yeah, I can
phrasing.
see
The
where people
chorus
can get that,
phrasing is very, yeah,
and beyond that, it's like I think I always say that I don't scream, I shout. I'm not screaming, I'm shouting.
right.
So you kind of get that like aggressive shouty
That's what he
vocal.
says too. So
Yeah, which happens then with which you get in with Zach De La Rocha in Rage Against the Machine. Now, of course, it's a little more rap rock
yeah.
for him, but it's that aggressive shouting vocal, which
Mhm.
again I think the on the newest album that's coming out now, the first single I released was Getting Warmer, and that one immediately everybody's like, oh, there's some Rage Against the Machine in there, and I'm like, I don't hear it, but I think it is those connections to, a riff heavy song structure, and then the shouting vocals. I think is where people are coming at
Right.
the
It's the
rage
it's the
thing for sure.
phrasing. It's the phrasing of the shouting voice because
Yeah, and
vocally.
it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing for someone to compliment me on. I'll
Oh
take
no,
it.
no, no. I mean
Every day of the
that.
week, right?
But vocally, and I know you probably. I'm almost hoping you've never heard of them because I would love to introduce you to them. Um, Vocally, your sound, your voice, while you're singing these things that are mixing Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and Jane's Addiction and Rage Against the Machine, you sound like the vocalist for Supertramp. Have you ever even
Supertramp.
heard of that
Yeah,
band?
I've definitely heard of Supertramp.
Okay.
What is theirs? One second, I could
Um,
be getting
Take a look
this.
at my girlfriend.
your friend,
She's the
she's
only
the
one
only
I
one
got.
I got.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I can
Welcome
see
to
that with
America. There's
right,
and
right, right, right.
that voice is so distinct, and yours
Hmm.
isn't exactly like it, but it has so much of that
It's the high
flavor.
register, right?
Yeah, it's the high register, but also the just the way that you say the word. It's not just the
Mm,
register, but the how you sing the words.
right, the
And
cadence. Yeah.
you should no, actually more tonally. It's all more
Okay,
because cadence wise, you're Zach De La Rocha in the
I guess
shouty
that's
part
fair.
in the
Yeah.
in the in the in the yelly parts. But it's like the guy for, and I can't remember his name to save me, but the guy for Supertramp singing, singing Rage Against the Machine, which is just absolutely
That's a
beautiful to
crossover.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful to me. Um, but I just wondered, but look them up sometime and listen to some of the stuff, and you'll go, "Oh, I see that."
Yeah, familiar with some of the singles. I'll do a little deep dive on those guys too, and see if I can put that together
Some
here.
amazing music. It was fun stuff
Right.
for late '70s, early '80s.
All right, let's move into this new album you're working on, and how you are a little less DIY. And as one of our previous bands put it, you are DIT, doing it together. Uh, you know, uh,
We have a very important question to ask uh,
Sure.
him real quick because, I mean, we always ask if we can play your songs on the podcast. Um, but Identity Parade, I want to use as our walk-on song when our band To Be Fair plays. And we just wanted to ask your permission for that because I mean, that was so fantastic, and the message in it, I was kind of what I was centering more for because that's we do a lot of social justice stuff,
Hmm.
and just wanted to get your permission. Not that we need it, we'll just use it anyway because you'll know,
You
but
put me on the spot here. No, I
but
mean,
just
my
wanted to
God, you want to
wanted
play
to
my music somewhere? Sure. I got no issues with that.
awesome.
all right,
Well,
so
we will.
let's talk about the new album. And how did you get hooked up with producers and engineers, and how did you get to a point where you were ready to do this in a totally different way?
Right. So, this the story of this album and its fruition's a bit interesting. Um, so in my town of 450 people, there is a an old church that's now called Trinity Hall. That church was purchased by an LA-based producer. His name is Greg Wells, and he purchased this church with the intention of turning it into um, a local music venue and creating some organizations that help sort of give back to that community. He has roots in the community. It's essentially, I think his grandparents had been from there, and so
Ah,
there's
okay.
roots in the community. He hasn't been there, hadn't visited there in years and that sort of thing, and really wanted to sort of do something that was a bit of a passion project while he was, working in LA. Some of Greg's background, and I'm not doing this a name drop, but just to give you a bit of understanding here, he's worked with numerous, A-list celebs and stars
I'm
and that
gonna
sort of
let
thing.
you
Like,
off the hook there because I found this nugget about you
yeah.
and this the two new songs. So I've already dropped some names in the first half of the show.
Oh,
So
gotcha,
our
gotcha,
Yeah.
audience,
gotcha.
I think our
So
audience
you're off the
understands
hook.
the
Yeah.
caliber
Okay, perfect, perfect.
of the producer you're now working with.
Yeah, insane, right? So he's worked with the best of the best. Anyway, so he buys this venue. He turns it into buys the church, turns it into a performance venue, and through that as well, he kind of feels inspired to connect with local artists in Newfoundland to kind of help them with scaling, like just kind of getting a taste of what it is that he does. So he sets up a record label called Silico Records. And through that, of course, he signs one of my best friends who I grew up with from the community there, Courtney Wicks, and she does like traditional Newfoundland music. So he started out with her, and they recorded an album at the hall. And through that process, he was like looking for other musicians. And I thought at first he was kind of trying to gear it towards local Newfoundland traditional music, which
Sea
has a lot
shanties and
of,
stuff.
yeah, well,
Hmm.
not even just sea shanties, a lot of connections to like a lot of like Irish trad and
Yeah, I
stuff
was
too.
going
There's a
to say it
great
could be kind
Yeah.
of Celtic and stuff
Yeah,
there
there's a
too.
lot
Yeah.
of Irish heritage here in the province, right? So there's a lot of carryover from ancestors years ago, and so traditional roots run deep here. So I thought this is kind of what he wanted to focus on because, and this is not to discredit him or anybody else, but it's what a lot of people focus on. A lot of the music here in Newfoundland that gets sort of airplay or gets pushed out is that traditional,
Mm.
Newfoundland or Newfoundland Irish kind of music. So I just took a shot in the dark and said, "Hey, screw it. I'm gonna like submit my stuff and write up a little bit about what it is that this project means to me and what I'm trying to do with it, and I'll submit it to him and see what happens." So I did that, and then I met him that first summer. He had come to Newfoundland to see the hall. He kind of bought it sight unseen. He bought the church sight unseen,
Oh wow.
and came to the hall to check it out. And I ended up meeting him very briefly there, and we just developed a bit of rapport, a little bit of chatting back and forth. And yeah, at one point he just kind of reached out to me as we were chatting about another conversation around the hall itself because I was helping out with some of the implementation of the hall initially. And he was like, "Do you think Yes Officer would be good for the label?" And I was like, "I may be biased, but I will say yes. And here's the reason why." And I was like, there's something about the music that gets created here that I think is really, really interesting. Like as I mentioned before, there's so much talent per capita in this province. It's insanity. It's not all Newfoundland traditional. I think it's something that as a province, it's like a little bit hard for us to overcome that. Like everybody thinks of Newfoundland, they think of the sea shanties, just like you had mentioned. And I'm not to call you out on that, but like it's just what happens, right? It's what people think that we're an
Right.
Atlantic province. We're out here. Our background is based in the fishery and the ocean, and it comes naturally for people to make those sorts of associations. And again, there is a fair amount of that here, but it's not the only thing that's here. So this is kind of was my pitch to him, where I was like, "Hey, I think that this music is very Newfoundland. It's rooted in rural community. If I didn't grow up in a rural community in Newfoundland, it wouldn't sound like this. Therefore, it is Newfoundland music. It's just not Newfoundland traditional music. And I think place and my personal experience is very well woven into the project, and I felt it had legs based on that. So I sort of pitched that to him, and he was all about it. He's like, "Yeah, I see what you're saying," and he's also very much an advocate of like LGBTQ plus rights. So he was really interested in the message that I was trying to put forward, and seeing somebody like myself as a queer person able to, get up in front of a crowd and scream my head off and play this like heavy punk rock music. Not that it's like unheard of, because it's definitely not. There's numerous queer punk musicians that have been making waves for years, but again, it's I think he felt connected to the project, in that way, and wanted to take a swing for the fences on something that's a little bit new and different around here, and put somebody like me on a label next to a traditional artist, next to a pop artist, next to a folk artist, and just be like, let's mix up the bag here and see what we can do.
You, you definitely go on the diversity thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
musical diversity at least.
Yeah, and
No, that's
he's got that big name of artists, big list of artists that he's worked with. Very few of them, if any, sound like Yes Officer. So this
yeah.
is
yeah.
this a bit of him also stepping out of his comfort zone to try something new and different?
I wouldn't say so. I think through and through, he's he's an incredible multi instrumentalist, but he's also like, he likes the weirdo rock music too, right? So he spent, I think, in the early 2000s, one album that he worked on is the Deftones self-titled album. So like
Okay.
he's worked with heavy
Oh
bands
yeah.
before, right? He's worked with Aerosmith, I think. It lists online as well. Like I think he did some work with Ozzy Osbourne at one point. Like he's worked with his fair share of heavy musicians and heavy music. So it's definitely not something that is unnatural to him. It's just perhaps not what he's ended up being known for, because he ended up also working on a bunch of musicals and stuff, which you may have already alluded to. He worked with Greatest Showman and won a Grammy for that, and all the Wicked musical and stuff, right? So that's sort of where he ended up um, connecting professionally. But he's an open book when it comes to working for any, with any and all types of music. He was very excited to work on this. I think it was a bit of a deviation from what he's become known for over the past
Yeah,
few years with
let's them get down in
his
the
work.
trenches just a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what
And it
kind
was,
of
I mean, in
things?
one way too, that was kind of great, because I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It was really great because like I'm green as the grass when it comes to this stuff. So he's able to kind of get in there and work with me, and really kind of mold the sound, along with the two local producers I had here with me, Mark Feener and Robert Kelly. Those guys, got to work with him, got to work with me, and collectively, all four of us really got to kind of like, you know, get in here and massage this thing and make a new album out of it.
And how is this album different because of their influence? Like, what types of things did they say to you and do differently that you wouldn't have done, other than being in I assume, a more professional recording space, right? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
But what was his production? How did he produce?
So I think it was a collective effort between the three of them, where you know they were working in tandem with what I was doing. So they did give me a lot of creative freedom to kind of like, they didn't want to change me too much because they knew what I sounded like. It was more of a guidance kind of thing to like, okay, maybe we've let this course go on a little bit too long, or maybe we'll just chop it a little part here. Have you thought about extending this? Let's change up this guitar riff. It wasn't a lot of heavy-handed, let's get in there and just stir the pot. It was like, you're sure of yourself as an artist, and we trust you as an artist, and you trust us as producers. So let's just make the best damn thing we can collectively. And let's not stray too far from what we know, but let's pick it up, clean it up, refine it, and make the best product we can.
So one of the big things from coming from the hardcore scene and everything is where the vocal sits in the mix. And
Hmm.
so it's been coming up, and as we went through this historical thing of your recordings, I mean, it was way down in the mix early, and then it started coming up, but it never got there. And now we got vocals on top of the mix. How did
Yeah.
you feel? What was your feeling about that? Did you embrace it? You were like, oh, finally people will get my message, or did you like, oh my God, that's my voice and I hate it and go away?
Yeah. Well, I think that was kind of part of it early on. Partially a lack of understanding of how to like sit my
Mhm.
vocals on top of the mix. The second part of it being like, I was a bit scared of, not scared of my voice or like what I was saying, literally scared of people hearing me sing a little bit,
Okay.
because I wasn't confident in that. And as the years have gone on, the more I've done, the more I've been like, oh no, I can at least hit a note. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's a few in there. I can pull them out when I need to. Um, so I think it was a natural progression once I got more confident with my actual singing voice, that yeah, like where all this sits on this new album, again, there's a lot of parts that are very vocal forward, and I'm all about it.
Awesome.
It's not something that I'm self-conscious about or anything. I'm very much embracing it, but it did take a minute to sort of shift over into that mentality, but
Yeah, because
I'm here
I
for
mean,
it.
it sounds great. And for JR, he is a big vocals guy. He's a big lyrics
Hmm.
guy. And so I'm just jamming to the tunes, the early ones, and he's like, I just want to hear the vocals, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
Yeah, and then
yeah, that's
so
fair.
then we play "Salt in the Wound." I'm like,
There it is.
it won't take me 200 listens to be able to figure out what he's saying and sing along with
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right? I like that I can do that. What
I'll send
was
you the lyrics. You can read along.
the perfect? Was that a discussion? Like, did you discuss that with the producers about, hey, we let's put the vocals up in the mix, or did they just do it naturally? And you're like, oh yeah, they did that thing, and it sounds
Yeah,
like that now.
I don't think there was a discussion around. Not that I can remember. Yeah, I don't think there was anything where I was like, oh, we purposefully have to, scooch this up or knock that back when it comes to vocals. Again, I trusted these are the people that do this professionally and they do it for a living.
and they do it quite
And
well.
oh my God, yes, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's the least thing you can say about that for sure. Uh, yeah. So I just, I trusted their gut on it. And, they trusted me when I had things to say. It was weird at first. And I sort of had these conversations with Greg and he reassured me because again, you're talking about little old me who's virtually unknown, um, outside of a small circle of my friends and family and a little bit here in the music scene. Trying to work on this album with somebody who's worked with the best of the best in the world. And coming forward, at first, I was like, I am terrified to express my opinion on anything because how do I go back and say, hey, I don't like what you did over here with the way this sounds. Can we change it? Because I was like, who am I to
Right.
correct this
Yeah.
person or try to change something like that? And he looked at me, he's like, you're the artist. You're exactly the person who needs to correct me. And I was like, oh,
Oh.
okay. Oh, I
Don't
guess that
count
makes
on it, but
sense.
thanks.
So I was like, I guess that makes sense. He's like, I trust you to make a good song. I wouldn't, he's like, I wouldn't let you make a terrible song. Like, I trust you in what you're trying to put forward. This is your project. I'll let you know if I disagree with something. Voice what you need to voice. Please tell me. I need to know. And it was like until I kind of had that shift, and it comes from I mean, initially it came as a thing where like I wanted to respect his professional background and not sort of step on any toes, but he was like, I want to respect you as an artist, so please tell me. You like if you have a feeling in your head about your music, you need to tell me because I can't read your mind, in those few words. But once I sort of had that shift dynamically with him, I was like, okay, no, we can I was able to send back text being like, "There's a snare hit at minute number 1.05 that needs to be like we got into the weeds, but he's like, get in the weeds with me, let's do this."
That's such
So
a
it was
healthy
really
working
good.
relationship. That's
Oh, it
amazing.
was incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. Once I broke through my own mental block over it, and he assured me that like, hey, the sky's not going to fall. I need you to tell me what's wrong. I'm not going to be mad with you. This is what I do for a living, and this is what I do with all the artists. Once we kind of got past that, again, that roadblock that I was putting up because I was scared, um, smooth sailing. Smooth sailing was a fantastic process.
So two singles and a complete album coming soon. You said around the end of May.
Correct.
So we're about a
Yeah.
month
So
away.
yeah, I just announced it last week. I believe it was. The new album is coming out May 22nd. The new album is titled "Ignore the Town Crier."
Ignore the Town Crier.
Yeah, I think I have this thing for like elaborate album
Yeah.
names, like these big weird long albums. But I don't know. I love it.
Well, no,
Yeah, "Ignore the
it's
Town
like
Crier."
it has a secret meaning. That's really cool. I
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Whether it does or not, it doesn't matter, but it sounds like it does.
That's for you to figure out.
so let's talk live. So you have some musicians you play with live. I've read that somewhere. I would have
Yeah.
assumed it if I hadn't read it. But what's your live music life like? Is this something you're doing a couple times a week, every month? Like, are you sticking to Newfoundland, Labrador? Are you planning to tour the world? Like, what is the plan and even the goal?
Right. So the band, I think, for like the live outfit has been on a bit of hiatus. Not never like officially announced or anything. I it's during the writing process of this album and the recording process, I kind of stepped back from that because I beyond the music side of things, I had some unfortunate things going on with my family life and some sickness and stuff. So I had taken a step back from a lot of that stuff in the past, I would say, year and a half. Um, so right now I'm kind of in the stage of regrouping and getting things back together. So my friend Nick Meadis is the bassist in the band, and he's been playing with me since 2019. I've had a couple of different drummers. The thing about St. John's and the music scene here is that um, drummers are few and they are utilized in so many projects. So it's really hard to nail somebody down as somebody who also was a drummer at one point. Having a good consistent drummer is can be tough because they're in so many projects that could take them out of province and projects that could, have them touring around the province or wrapped up. Like if Music NL, which is our local music industry like a week that happens here, the Music NL Awards and Music Industry Week, there could be like two or three drummers that are playing in every single band. It's just like they're in all of the acts. It's not even I'm not even
They just set
exaggerating.
up and stay there. It's like,
Yeah, it's just like everybody else could leave the stage and they'll just stay on there. So I've had a few drummers help me out over the past few years. Dan George was there for a little bit with me. Played a few shows live. Most recently, I was connected with another friend of mine, Nick Coltis Clark, who was playing. He played, I think, most famously, I'll use that word, with a band called Repartee for a number of years, and they did a bunch of touring, and they were signed to a Canadian label, I believe. I could be misquoting that, but yeah, they had a pretty popular hit out on, like national radio and stuff here in Canada. So he was playing drums with me for a little bit, but unfortunately, he had other work in the music industry that's now going to take him out of province. So I'm kind of in between drummers and trying to figure that out. And I think the next drummer I'm looking to pull in there. I've been chit chatting with him, and he's in three or four different projects here in the city. He's a very in demand drummer as well. So it's like everybody kind of refers to the really great solid drummers, and they're all all the musicians in the city are great. And it's like those few drummers are in because there's so few of them, they're in everything and they're consistently good in all different types of music. So, I gotta wrap up a nice little neat little bow around it all now and try to get mobilized again. So we're kind of in between, but hopefully now June, July this summer we'll start to push into some local shows. And I don't know. I mean, I'd like to. I think the typical sort of trajectory around here is to start off with kind of like an Atlantic Canada tour and then push further into the Western provinces through Ontario and that sort of thing. I'd like to be able to do some of the Atlantic Canada stuff first. Again, as mentioned, like with the industry side of things, I'm still pretty green. Though I have put out albums, I haven't really uh, been involved in a lot of the music industry side of things, like how to tour and how to like set up, these sorts of things. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me right now for these next couple of years. But with this album, in my back pocket, it's now or never. You know what I mean? Like, let's try to mobilize on this really great product that I've now put together.
This
If I do say
this
so myself.
this seems like the time to pounce,
Yeah,
right?
if ever there
right.
was a time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the product definitely. But so what you're saying, just want to recap real quick. Your band is going to be strictly live only. You are going to control all the aspects of the front end, and then they learn the songs, and then you go out and play them. Is that
Yeah,
pretty
that's kind of how it's
much?
traditionally gone. I
Mhm.
where I do all the recording and writing myself. I lay all that down and pop out a song and say, "Hey guys, here you can learn this." Um, the other side of that is that I'm never married to the songs like to a T. Like I always tell them as soon as they start to learn something, like, yeah, this is the rough structure and play within it and play around in it. At the end of the day, I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, you didn't hit the right exact note right there. Like, oh, you went off to a different harmonic. Like, another note that works, but wasn't quite the same one. Like, I don't care. We're up there, we're playing this loud punk music. Make it sound good. I trust all those guys too, just like, the producers and stuff trust me in the studio. It's like I trust those guys to make the right musical choices because, I wouldn't have them there if I didn't trust them. Trust them.
But
You
do you
know.
foresee that going into the future, once you get, if not maybe not once, but if you get a cohesive group together, a bass
Hmm.
and a bass drummer, and you really need a second guitar player too, because you got the two guitars going on a lot. If that ever happens, is that your goal, or is that just to get a cohesive unit and maybe go into more of a band situation recording wise, or do you just like the way it is now and it seems to work and why mess with anything that ain't broke?
Yeah, I think for me it works currently. It's also one of those things where, you get into your you know, I'm in my mid 30s now, and that sort of thing, and starting to put schedules together with all these people who have their lives and their kids and their marriages and all that kind of stuff too. It's like it gets a bit tougher to start to schedule people to get together and work on music. So for me, I think with this particular project, I'm not. It's not. I'm not saying I'm not open to working with other people. I've let's songwrite all day long. I think for me on this particular project, because it has been so personal to my story and my background, this project will likely stay in the realm of me as, that person with creative control. And again, it's not because of my inability or my distaste for, collaboration. I love to collaborate. Um, for me, this project comes out best when I do it on my time and with my energy and my know-how, whatever that is. Whether my know-how is down here on a certain instrument or it's up here, whatever that know-how is, it just feels best when it's truly mine. For this project specifically, I think it probably will stay close to my heart in that way.
And it just works. I mean, and you gotta,
Yeah, it seems
once
to.
again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
Right. Yeah.
Um, we could go a couple different directions here. I'm resisting the urge to go into the come from away stuff, but I so want to ask some of that. Uh, has come from away been a part of your life at all? Like, do you remember it? Did the Broadway musical impact you in any way? Is it annoying that there's all this attention given to Newfoundland and it's all about that and not the other parts of Newfoundland? Any, or just shut up, JR, and let's talk about
No.
music.
No, no. I think there's first off the production, the musical. Like I said, it's been super valuable to the province. It's been super valuable to showcasing our arts and culture scene as well as telling a really impactful story. Um, it wasn't personally connected to me. I didn't live near Gander. I was still quite young when those attacks happened. Um, so it's not something that like it feels like, oh, I can remember that process and what had happened during 9/11 out there in Gander. I was physically disconnected from it, and I was quite young, and I don't think I kind of retained it as such. If I was a young kid that was involved in that process, if I was out there in Gander, I think I probably would have a little bit more of a connection to it. um, but yeah, I mean, the musical itself it's garnered great attention, and I think it's been incredible to see that story unfold on a Broadway stage.
All right, two specific questions on that, then we'll just totally finish this up.
Sure. I don't know that I can answer. I don't know much
and
about Come
feel
From
No,
feel
Away.
free to
you'll
tell.
you'll be able
Ultimately.
to answer these.
All right, let's go for it.
So in the musical, the people of Newfoundland and specifically Gander and surrounding communities are portrayed as the most generous, nice, genuinely wonderful people. And almost no examples of the opposite of that. Is that generality about Newfoundlanders true in your experience?
In my experience, yes. I grew up again in a town of 450 people. Everybody looked out for everybody. Sometimes some people felt that was to a fault, and people were sometimes nosy. Like, there's those sorts of conversations when we were like teenagers and stuff growing up. I was somebody who was averse to trouble and terrified to get in trouble, because I didn't want to go home to my parents, who would have probably put me in more trouble. So I was very much kind of like the good kid that like stayed away from, all the mischievous things that were happening. But um, where I was sort of going with all that is that people were always on the lookout. It wasn't always on the lookout for, they weren't just trying to catch you doing something bad. It was just like they took care of each other. So if somebody was hurt, if somebody was sick, if somebody needed some extra help to do this or to do that, whatever that might be, people stepped up. I think a lot of it was rooted in, I mean, you're talking about an island. Um where people had moved over here and settled in an unknown world to to work in the fishery and that sort of thing. So it goes right back to those like early settlement roots, I think, where like they had to help each other or they didn't survive. So I think um, a lot of that ethos sort of was passed on generation to generation, even to the time that I grew up and came out through there. If something happens in my small town, you know, I mean, I'll get into this a little bit, and I don't want to dwell on it too much. But I mean, just recently, my father unfortunately has passed, right? So the outpouring of support that we had from our community and the communities in our region to my family specifically, um, is huge, right? So people just band together in times of sadness and in times of need for others. And our house was stocked with food for days. Like we didn't have to worry about a meal. People were there to get us from point A to point B, showing up at the hospital, showing up wherever, right? So that spirit, I think, is intrinsic through Newfoundland through and through. And it didn't like thinking about it now, like the 9/11 sort of story that came through Gander, not surprising at all. That's exactly what I would have thought of would have happened. If that happened today, that's exactly still what would happen in Gander. It would happen anywhere on this island. It would just be like, oh, there's 6,000 people or something in need. Great, let's make this happen. Like, let's open schools. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Get people in here, get them fed, and get them cleaned up. Okay, you're gonna go off with this family and stay over here. Like, yeah, it would happen today.
The other question that I think you can answer specifically is in Come From Away. There's a gay couple portrayed, a real life gay couple who had trepidation about being open about who they were in this
Mhm.
town that they didn't know what it was like, and when they did, they found that it was not a problem at all. It was not. It was completely not what you would experience if you did that in rural small town America, right? Like
Mhm.
they're thinking that this is the same as that, where it's clearly not the same as that. Uh,
Right.
and did did you have that kind of experience? Was it and I mean you didn't for a long time, but then you did. And when you did, how were you received?
Yeah, it's funny because I had those moments when I had come out back in 2018. Uh, Actually, I think I'd made like a post on Facebook or something like, "Oh, I'm gay," whatever, and I just like left the community. I went to the city. I was like, "I gotta run away." I just ran away for 3 days and hung out with my friends in here and just like took some time away to like let the heat die down. I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like the talk of the town," and da 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 da. And I don't think it was at all. I came home and it was just like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Jeremy?" And like nobody. I was like, "Oh, so the sky isn't falling. Great. This is totally fine." No, I've never in my experience, had any sort of, as I mentioned earlier on when I was talking about growing up there, like, I felt a lot of isolation and anxiety and stuff, but it was based on my own insecurities or my own not knowing myself. I was never, it was never to a point of like, I was believed mistreated or anything like that. And similarly, when I came out, there wasn't, I don't know of anybody that has, changed the way they talk to me. And because I think they just see the people first, like there's a person there first. And I think similarly, with the story of that gay couple that landed in Gander, it's like they were just people that were in need, so we helped them. It's just what we do.
It's crazy. I can't find anybody to say anything bad about Newfoundland and the people of Newfoundland
I might be
specifically.
biased, but yeah,
Yes, yeah, I love it. I think we're just about done. Gary, do you have any burning questions that you have yet to ask?
I should have turned a light on in here because we're getting
Oh, I
dark.
kind
I
of like
was
the.
wondering. I was
It's like
going. I
starting to
didn't
like,
want to say
ooh, get in there.
anything,
I'm just a
but
floating head now. Ooh.
Yeah, your black shirt totally blending in with the background.
Yeah, just
Love it.
it's. I keep trying to increase my brightness on my screen here, so it's like, anyway.
I've run through pretty much everything. The last part of it was definitely the Supertramp part. Oh, I did want to say that as we're going through, and because he had read me, you always compare your comparisons or the other things before we started, or actually after the first song, and I went no, 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 no. But then toward the end. Yeah. So now I'm hearing some of the things that the commenters were saying. I didn't know if they were commenters or critics or what have you.
It's just basically what the internet compares your band to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were wildly off if they were talking about the first record. Uh, you're still a little bit off on the new stuff, the new songs that are coming out, but they aren't as far off. But I definitely heard, did hear some Foo Fighters. You brought up the Foo Fighters a few times, possibly because you work in the same methods that they did,
Yeah.
that Dave Grohl did early on. But that would be the only thing. I love what you do.
No, thank you.
And being able to hear your voice now I could only listen to the early stuff so much before I would tire of it just
Yeah,
from
fair.
fatigue, not from, oh God, this is boring, but just from fatigue because you're trying to nail into those lyrics. The as it comes along, I don't think I'll ever get tired of the Identity Parade, and then Salt in the Wound is a whole new step forward and step up. And man, I
Yeah.
hope that takes you away from ever being able to be on this radio on this podcast again. Although we
I
would love
appreciate
you
that.
to do that once you once you do that, because we were here first. We found you before they
There
did.
you go. There you
Dang
go.
it!
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I think I would say as well is if it's okay for me to say it, in
Please,
regards
absolutely. The
to
floor is yours.
so in regards to like those few albums, I think I'd like to point out a couple of songs that if I was to say like, hey, listen to my band, do you mind if I do that? I could just kind of plug a
Oh,
couple songs that I
please,
think
please,
are
please
more
It
do.
kind
occurs
of
to me sometimes that I should do that before I record these shows with
no.
Gary, because then I can play the songs that the artist thinks I should play, which has not been my
Well, no, it's
method so
interesting
far.
though. But it's interesting that you went with those songs. It kind of gives me a new perspective. I'm like, oh, maybe there's something there to revisit. But anyway, through that, I would say on the first album, the songs that kind of really resonate with me, and it's sad that I have to load up a list of the songs here now, but for sure the one I do like, You Still Got Time, don't get me wrong. Mayday is another one that I still play live a lot. Mayday is a bit of a shorter song, but it's just kind of a bit of a propulsive, rhythmic tune. And Pendulum is one that gets a lot of people seem to really resonate with that, which is funny. When I recorded it, I was the least happy with it, but
Huh.
live, I think it takes on a bit of a different light. On the second album, I think the first two songs, Snake Oil and Paper Giant, are my favorite two tunes on that one for sure. And I think maybe I haven't played it in a long time, but Idle Hands was always really fun. That was also a really fun tune to play. Um, yeah, I think that's probably all I would sort of point out on that one. For the most recent album, was in 2020, Naysayer is up there for me, as well as Authors. I think Authors has been one of my favorite songs I've ever written, and Play in Traffic. Those three are the ones that I would point at from that album. I put out two singles as well that were just sort of self-recorded. There's one called Slow News Day and Pace Yourself.
Yep.
Those two are also up there for me. And yeah, now on the new album, there's a bunch of stuff you'll have to wait and see about. But of the two that are currently released, I think Getting Warmer just edges out Salt and Wound for me, as my favorite so far. But there's lots. My favorite is still on the album yet, unreleased, but that'll be coming by the end of May. So
So, in putting together the first part of the show, I have to make tough choices and get it, because we only got
yeah,
about it. Otherwise we'd have a 4-hour podcast, and that's probably not okay. So
yeah,
I had to get it down to four. Several of the songs you mentioned were on my short list, but I
right.
just went with these other ones because that's what I
All
was
good. Yeah,
feeling. Idle Hands was on my list. It was definitely almost a 50-50 coin flip between the two newest songs, Salt in the Wound and sorry, I just forgot it. What was the
Getting
other?
Warmer.
Getting Warmer. Thank you.
Yep.
And I picked at random the second song. So
That's true. Yeah. When we
yeah,
got to Lessons from a Snake Oil Salesman, I gave Gary the choice to play any of those 10 songs,
Oh,
because
gotcha.
I felt like any of those 10 songs would have been awesome. And so
Oh, good.
there wasn't a loser in the bunch. So I like giving Gary a little bit of choice and freedom on this show.
Yeah, give me a little freedom on that one there, Gary.
That's right.
Yeah, and I just like the
How
title,
generous.
Crisis Actor. I wanted to see what it was about. So,
Yeah, that was a fun tune to play live. I remember playing
but
that one the first few
embrace that
times.
bridge. That bridge is
All right,
wonderful.
all right, all right. I'll work on the bridge. I'll work on
So,
Don't
embracing it.
work on. You don't have to work on it. Just play it.
Yeah.
It's
so this
perfect.
show is going to come out it's around the right time, about the same time as when your album comes out, and
Oh, great.
we generally are working about a month ahead, and so I can tweak those dates. I don't have to put these out in the exact order we recorded them. So
Right.
putting it out around the right time. You said May 22nd is when you're
May
planning to drop the
22nd
new
is the
album.
digital release. Yeah,
Sweet. Oh, you said the words digital release, which triggers my
I did.
automatic question. Will there be physical media that we can buy somehow, somewhere?
There will be physical media. Yeah, I'm doing a vinyl release of this album. It's the new album is 8 tracks. Still comes in around 35 minutes. The songs are a bit longer on it. Um, yeah, so 8 tracks, 35 minutes. We're doing a vinyl run. I think just 100 copies right now, so it's a very limited release. Again, most of the market is here in Newfoundland, so we can't have too big of a release. I don't have that much money, and yeah, so there's physical media. There's going to be like some stickers. I'm going to do up some merch, some T-shirts and stuff too. So yeah,
Will
that's
there be videos? Will there be any
I
video
haven't
content?
jumped into the video world yet, and it's something which is really funny because I moonlight as a photographer as well. So like I
Right.
have a background in visual arts as well. So like uh, the other side of
You
that
see, that seems
with
fairly natural. The
mhm. Yeah, with all the other albums here that have already been done, and this one included, I've done all the artwork myself. It's all photos that I've taken or graphic design work that I've done. So that's also another part of the project that's like personal to me as well. So yeah, so that will all be coming with the release of this one.
Sweet.
I
Awesome.
really am just a floating
We
hamper
look.
now. This is
We look.
crazy.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
is. It's
so
pretty
cool.
cool.
It's the photographer in you. It had to plan this. You had this
Oh my
plan the whole
God.
time.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
trying
it
to
was all
remember.
part
I'm
of the
trying to
plan.
remember. It's like the genie from
Pee
Pee
Wee
Wee's
Herman?
Play
Yeah,
Pee
Pee Wee's
Wee's
I
Playhouse.
could
Playhouse.
just go down here and I could just like
Mecca Lecca High,
look
Mecca
myself.
Heiny
Mecca,
Ho.
Mecca.
Jeremy, thank you so much for spending this time with us, answering our
Oh my God,
questions,
this is great.
talking music. It's been a thrill for us, and I hope you've gotten something out of it as well. We are going to do our part to tell the world about Yes Officer. And all we ask in return is that you tell whatever fans you have, your social media followers, whatever, anybody walking down the street, Greg Wells, maybe you mention it to him, uh, that
How
this
awesome this podcast
that this
is.
podcast exists, and it's a way for people to find out more about you, especially since they aren't able to see you live, at least right now, right? So this is a way for them
Mhm.
to get some Yes Officer time. So
Yeah,
you
for sure.
you help
We're
us.
working on that live thing.
Yeah, cool. You help us, we're helping you. The rising tide floats all the boats, and all the other bands we have featured will become beneficiaries of whichever band first breaks it huge, right?
There you
Uh,
go.
then people come find bindhopod.com and they find all the other bands. So
Oh, fantastic. No, I'll definitely be sharing it on my socials and that sort of thing and passing on the good word. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to, take a deep dive in my music and hear me out and have questions to ask me and want to genuinely learn about, this project. So, it means a lot. So I appreciate that.
fantastic. Jeremy Harnum of Yes Officer on bands you've never heard of. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your
Thank you so
evening.
much.
Thanks. Cheers.
You've heard of.
Oh, I love doing this show.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
They're all amazing, and it gets almost repetitive when we gush about it at the end. But man, that's pretty cool.
I think it's a combination of, obviously I have to find the bands. Sometimes they find me, sometimes I find them, but ultimately I make the choice for who to say yes to or who to reach out to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's only half of the equation. Because we have, again, we're batting 1,000 here. We have yet to find a stinker. Every interview, every artist has exceeded all of my expectations. And again, we're only half the equation. The artist that looks at an email about being on a podcast called Bands You've Never Heard of and does any level of research from 0 to 100% of the research and says, yes, I will be on that show.
Yeah.
That's the right person, right?
Absolutely.
I got to say yes, and they got to say yes. If both of those things happen, if some publicist is cajoling their artist into being on the show reluctantly, that's when this is going to go wrong, and that has not happened yet.
Yeah, I mean that's and that might happen one day as we get more publicists and more management companies calling us up about things. But I don't think it will, because at the end of the day, there's still people with less than 100,000 views. That means they're hungry. That
Right.
means they want to please people. They don't have any cynicism yet. They don't have, regardless of how long they've been doing it, the cynicism is set aside. There's obviously no spite or anything like that. If you got a bad attitude, you're not going to have management at that level. I mean, they're going to go, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Get to the street, you know. You're going to be more like Jeremy and just be like, man, this is just great, you know. He's working with a world-renowned producer, and his thing is, I don't want to tell the producer stuff that I want because, you know, and you know, that shows you what a great producer that Greg is, because yeah, you do. I don't care that, you know, that you're not Adele, you know, I don't care that you're not Pink or the Rolling Stones or whoever. You're the artist, and
You're the person that should be telling me.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I work for you, and you know, and that's. But also, that's partially being, you know, that he is Canadian, you know, and so they're very humble people, by and large, and they just don't think that they're all that. So,
All right, Gary, let's wrap this thing.
but with everything, this episode, this amazing episode of Bands You Never Heard Of, is and always will be a production of Ranch Hand Records. That's at ranchhandrecords.com.
Band You've Never Heard Of is hosted by us, him, Gary Hawthorne, and me, J.R. Stoffel.
Fine Ho, which is how we like to call it, is written by JR and reacted to in real time by me.
All the songs from the bands we feature on this show are used with the band's permission. You heard us ask him, and him give us permission to play Yes Officer songs on this show.
And you might want to check out what's his last name? It's
Jeremy Harnum. So he
Jeremy.
has a website. I'm already thinking of questions I wished I'd have asked him. Like, is there going to be a yesofficer.com, or I don't know what website that is. Go there at your own risk. He does have a website for his photography business, and it is jeremyharnum.ca.
.ca.
Yeah.
And link will be in the show notes and on the website.
You should check out the official Bands You've Never Heard Of playlist. It's all the songs by all the bands we've ever featured on this show. It is a long, unruly list of songs, but don't worry, just hit shuffle and hit play and enjoy the music.
Yes, and you'll get his selection of songs too, not just ours.
All the albums, all of his
them,
songs.
because
will
all
be
the
there.
songs will be there.
Yeah.
And if you're just listening and not watching, even though today's is not very video heavy, you still would have gotten to see Jeremy in the flesh on youtube.com at BindHopePod.
And if you want to reach out to us and ask us questions, suggest a band, shoot the shit, just do it. Send us an email, bynhopod@gmail.com, bynhopod@gmail.com.
And all of that, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Spotify, you can send us a contact, you can buy our merch, you can just give us money. You can donate to this fine cause of keeping the music alive and floating the boats at bynhopod.com. That's bynhopod.com. go there, check it out. We've got all the bands listed and what they're doing. We've got our special episodes are on there, some of the shorts, great everything, the merch. Gotta check out the merch.
Check out the merch.
Check out the merch.
Check out the merch there, eh?
But until then, I had another question for you, but I forgot it. So we'll check into that later. Until that time, we'll see y'all. And I hope that you enjoyed tonight's show.
Peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Do we have something for the cool after credits?
All right, that's done. What's next?